You want to know how to survive on a single income? You've come to the right household, because we've been surviving on a single income for the past 8 years. I want to say 8 years. We've been married 10, so yeah, about 8 years. We've been living on a single income. I've been a full-time housewife turned stay-at-home mom for the past 8 years. So you can say I have quite a bit of experience managing a home with just Joel's income. From extremely low income circumstances, I'm talking food stamps, WIC, the whole nine, to living a comfortable middle class lifestyle now. Let me preface this by saying that we have 2 kids and 3 dogs in our home. We live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. So we definitely kind of have it figured out. Still working some things out, but we have, for the most part, it figured out. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you have to set a budget. Budgeting is probably the #1 mistake a lot of people make when it comes to living on a single income, 2 incomes, and not understanding why their income does not meet their needs. So first, I'm going to tell you guys to lay out what the income is, what your exact take-home pay is every 2 weeks, every month, whichever it is, but lay it out so that you know how much money you actually have to work with. That's how you start. Then you make a whole list of all of your expenses, every single expense, including gas, groceries, utilities, clothing if you need to spend money on clothing frequently, toiletries, and any other expenses that you may have throughout that paycheck, the month, whichever it is, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever it is. Of course, you do the math, you see what you're working with, you see how much you should have at the end of the month, and take a look at where you should cut expenses, where you could probably reduce spending on. Look at ways to kind of cut your costs. The next tip I have for you is to schedule your bills around payday. That way you know if you need to split them because you get paid bi-weekly. There was a point where Joel got paid once a month at the beginning of the month. And so we calculated our expenses, and we had our utilities placed earlier in the month so that we knew how much we were spending. We got all the spending out of the way, and we were set for the month because the bills were paid. So we know that whatever was left after we paid the bills could go to emergency expenses or anything that we may need to buy that month. It also made it easier to divide the other expenses like groceries, gas, and things like that. It made it easier to split them up throughout the month so that we ensured that we had enough gas for Joel to get to work and for me to take the kids to and from wherever we needed to go. The next tip that I feel like not a lot of people take advantage of, especially if you're into buying organic whole foods, and organic whole foods are very expensive. So I would recommend buying things on sale. Whatever you can buy on sale, buy it on sale. Whatever you can get a discount on, get a discount on. Former military spouse here, and whenever it said military discount, you better believe I took out my ID to show them, my dependent ID to show them so that I could get a military discount, because every penny that you can save makes a significant difference. So if you can get a discount on something, if you can find something on sale, if you can use coupons, anything you can use to cut down certain expenses is going to make a massive difference on your day-to-day expenses, how much money you can have after that paycheck. The next tip is probably the hardest in our economy, but it is to live below your means. For example, Joel and I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house because that's what we can afford. But our mortgage is significantly lower than if we were to get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, even apartment, let's say, because we've cut back on the need for a larger space. Yes, it is very difficult to live in a smaller space with 2 kids and 3 dogs. But given our circumstances and what we needed, that is how we managed to make it work. We live well below our means, and living beyond your means means that you are spending every single penny of your income. That means you don't have anything left over and you're left in a deficit. That means you're living beyond your means. That means you're spending way too much money because now you don't have enough money to put aside or to have for emergencies. Another tip is to cut down your debt. Pay off your debt. You can talk to debt collectors and they can actually arrange payments according to your income, how much you can afford to pay them towards that debt or that expense. If you talk to them, talk to these people. I know none of us want to talk to debt collectors. None of us want to talk to the people we owe money to. But if you talk to them, there are ways to make payment arrangements so that it's a little bit easier financially for you to not only pay those debts back, but it doesn't hit your pocket so hard throughout the month or throughout that specific paycheck. The next thing I want to tell you guys, and I kind of want to harp on this, is to start tracking your credit score as soon as possible. Early 20s, as soon as you start basically creating credit, you should start tracking your credit score. Your credit score can kind of make or break your interest rate. Your interest rate is what makes things more expensive. If you can keep your interest rate really low, you can keep your debt really low. That makes things a lot easier when it comes to calculating how much you can actually afford. So track your credit score early, keep track of it, keep it high, or work towards making it high, which means you have to keep that debt at a minimum. And you have to ensure that you keep all of your debt up to date. Like, make sure you're making on-time payments early if you can, but make those payments every month. And if you can make them in full, especially with credit cards, we don't own credit cards because it's easier for us financially not to own credit cards. It does accumulate debt if you are not paying them in full. But pay off those debts so that you can maintain a high credit score. The last tip I have for you guys, which some people, this would be great advice for. Other people, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But it is to eat at home as much as possible. Home-cooked meals can cut back significantly and you can have leftovers. That's what we do here. What I do is I'll cook a substantial amount of dinner and then the leftovers will be lunch for Joel and Lucy because they're the ones who leave the house every day. Lucy goes to school, Joel goes to work. It also makes it easier for us to track our actual expenses because when you're buying for a family of 4 out to eat anywhere, you're easily spending $20. And if you're easily spending $20 every day, for some people twice a day because they don't cook at all, but if you're spending that every single day, multiply 20 by 7, that's quite a hefty hit on some people's paycheck. Some people can afford it. We cannot afford to eat out every day. It just doesn't work for us. We take all the previous tips when it comes to grocery shopping. We buy what's on sale. We use coupons if we can. Discount programs if they're free. Take advantage of the discount programs. That will cut grocery cost significantly. We also don't pay for like food delivery services. We don't pay for anything like that. I try to make as much food at home as I possibly can. Despite my family thinking I can't cook, I can cook. I do cook every single day. I make bread from scratch. I try to make as many things from scratch as possible because a lot of times the ingredients for that go a long way. Spices, flour, things like that. They can be used for a long period of time, so you can make multiple of those things with that one item that you bought. That is how we've made it work for the past 8-ish years in our marriage. That's how we've made it work with just a single income with a family of, technically we're considered a family of 7, but family 4 plus 3 dogs. That's how we do it. Let me know anything you do that has helped you significantly survive on a single income or your income, or it's helped extend your paycheck a little bit longer. Let me know any tips down below that I may have missed that you think work really well, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.